The cryptocurrency exchange FTX blew up a couple weeks ago. It looks like one of the biggest, maybe the single biggest financial scam in history. And you have to wonder, how was this allowed? So the head of the company was all over the media, and in a number of interviews, he was wearing shorts and playing video games. Why did nobody notice? And where were the regulators? Where was Gary Gensler? Well, they were apparently giving this guy a pass because they knew him or they agreed with his politics. So they're not being punished for what they allowed to happen. Thousands of people defrauded out of their life savings. Instead, they're using the collapse of FTX to their own advantage to push for something called central bank digital currency, C.B.D.C. Now, what is central bank digital currency? Well, that's where all financial transactions are effectively controlled by the central bank, really by the government. And as we saw in Canada last winter, if they don't like what you're doing, they can zero out your savings with a keystroke. So you have no autonomy whatsoever. You are completely under the control of the people in charge, who, by the way, may hate you. So this appears to be coming in this country. Several banks have announced already that they're working with the Fed to implement a C.B.D.C. Once again, if this happens, we're done. No more political debate. We will have unprecedented levels of regulation, of surveillance, and of control. It's effectively Chinese social credit scores come to America. Russell Brand recently explained all of this in a clip of the new Prime Minister of the UK, Rishi Sunak, boosting a CBDC for England. Watch this.
He's a keen advocate of CBDCs, central bank digital currencies. Here he is, in fact, advocating for them.
Today, I'm proud to say that under the UK's presidency, the group of the world's 7 most advanced economies, the G7, is launching a set of public policy principles for retail central bank digital currencies, CBDCs. Central bank digital currencies could be a digital version of money, a bit like a digital banknote.
I like it, because we've got a broad concept. What if this person's an idiot? Which we think that they are. It's like a digital penny for your digital money box, for your digital hole that you live in. You will own nothing. You will be happy.
That could be used alongside physical notes and coins.
For now, till we phase them out, if you start any little trucker protests, oh, where's my money gone? The digital piggy bank is broken, I'm afraid. Start being a bit more cooperative.
Unlike most of the digital money people use daily today, it would be issued directly by a central bank, like the Bank of England in the UK.
That's good, a central bank. Nothing wrong with centralised authority, centralised power, globalist decrees coming down from on high, avoiding democracy. That's exactly what we want. Keep talking.
And governments and central banks across the world are working together.
Oh, really? They're working together? Well, that's just such great news. The IMF, the World Bank. Why don't we involve the WEF and the WHO? What we need are unelected global bodies that have been able to co-opt political power, respond to financial power, and ignore and oppress ordinary people. Whether it's the recent medical emergency or the cost of living crisis, we're seeing the benefits all around us. I can't wait for your next policy. You're going to take our money now. This is great.
Looking into what having a digital currency might mean in practice.
I think I know what it means in practice. More power for you, no power for us.
This includes issues that people care about, such as ensuring users' money would be safe and secure, that it could work with other ways to pay, be energy efficient.
Oh, it's got to be energy efficient. I was about to say, is it energy efficient? Is it energy efficient? I've got to make sure. Oh, a few other questions. You wouldn't use this ever, would you, to implement control or to advance social credit type systems or to shut down the bank accounts of people you disagree with or to surveil people and have a surveillance network that you've developed in conjunction with big tech and now a financial arm that you're developing so that you can lock step together and gridlock us in a digital prison of surveillance tyranny?
Answer to those questions? Oh, yeah. Vivek Ramaswamy is one of the smartest people we ever talked to, author of Nation of Victims, joins us tonight to assess. So, Vic, thanks for coming on. So here you have regulators in the United States failing in the most obvious possible way to rein in this cryptocurrency exchange. And then in the wake of that, they're not punished, but they've decided they're going to use it to get more power for themselves. Am I misreading what's happening here?
I think you're reading it correctly. As the expression goes, never let a good crisis go to waste. Now, I think these CBDCs here in the U.S. are a really bad idea, Tucker, for a few reasons, but it's worth knowing the reason that economists supposedly support it, right? So the main argument is they say that actually China is doing it and the US will be less competitive and that the dollar would be less strong if the US fails to keep up. There are so many things wrong with that argument, but the first and most obvious is that that's a good path to get us to be more like China, which is not a good way for the US to go in terms of being a surveillance state. And actually, it's exactly for that reason that if you think about it, the U.S. could actually have a stronger dollar if it does not jump onto the C.B.D.C bandwagon, because people might want to actually hold a currency that doesn't allow them to be the subject of surveillance and control. So you could make the argument equally in reverse about the supposed strong dollar that we're going to miss out on without the C.B.D.Cs. And this is, of course, against the backdrop that you know well, Tucker, which is the fetishization of the strong dollar as supposedly a good end-all, be-all anyway. That's right. It actually hurts American manufacturers, and there's a very good reason why China has artificially tried to depress its currency to have a weaker yuan. So on many levels, the argument fails.
This is not an investment show, but since you're very fluent in this language and knowledgeable, what will this do to gold prices? I mean, if they get close to this, a lot of people are just going to try to opt out of the system, correct?
I would think that it has a big effect, a positive effect on gold prices. Markets have been a little bit weird in the last year where gold certainly hasn't gone up as you might have actually otherwise predicted it to in normal times. But against that backdrop, though, when you ultimately all forms of paper become meaningless and actually go into digital currencies that could be means of governments effectuating control, that might be the last stand for actually gold finally having the last laugh at the end of the day. But more importantly, Tucker, is we should not see this great reset, this dissolution of boundaries between the public and private sector, between different nations, ultimately create this new world order. And C.B.D.Cs, mark my words, are just the symptom of that deeper cancer.
Well, that is exactly right. So nicely put. Vic, it's great to see you tonight. Thank you so much.
Thank you.